Hey gang, thanks for joining me. My name is Trevor Beck. I'm the Google Evangelist here at MacEwan University. Today we're going to talk about Chromebooks as an alternative to tablets and laptops. Now, one of the things that a lot of people end up asking is like, why a Chromebook? What's the advantage of a Chromebook? Well, Chromebooks are great if you live in the Google universe. They're great if you do a lot of work in Chrome anyways, because a Chromebook basically is Chrome wrapped in a laptop. So anything that you do on Chrome, you can do with a Chromebook. There are some advantages to that, especially if you live in the Google universe and you're syncing your information. It'll sync between all devices that you have logged in. So any bookmarks that you make on your iPhone will automatically get synced to your Chromebook, to your Mac, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I'm a Mac user. I've been a Mac user since 1987, so a long time. And I mean, I have an iPhone, I have an iPad, I have a Mac Mini, I use a Mac laptop here at work. But I was looking for something that I could take on vacation. I didn't want to take my work laptop with me. I wanted to be able to do more than just surf the web. I wanted to be able to actually do some typing, do some work as it is, and some teaching and stuff while on the road. I can do a lot of that with the iPad, but there are definitely some advantages over a Chromebook. The Chromebook that I ended up picking up is this Acer one. It's the Acer 11-inch. Got it at Best Buy. You can get it for about $250 Canadian right now. And it's nice, it's light, it's small, it's compact, and it's great for travel. And in a minute, we'll see some of the advantages of what that has over my iPad. Now, one of the things you're going to notice right away is the screen quality. These machines are cheaper. I mean, I'm paying $250 for the Chromebook. I'll probably end up paying $350 for an iPad. The screen on the iPad is crisp, it's clean, it's an HD screen. The screens on this iPad or this Chromebook that I bought is an old matte version, so it's not very, the quality as far as the screen doesn't match what you have on an iPad. You can get that, of course, but you have to pay some extra money. So let's first take a look at what a Chromebook is. I'm just going to share a slide here, and we'll kind of work our way from there. So what is a Chromebook? A Chromebook, as I mentioned before, is a Google browser wrapped in a laptop. So anything that you normally would do on the web using Chrome, or really any browser, but if you use Chrome, it's great. But it's a browser with a laptop. So if all you're doing now is using your browser to do most of your work and anything, a Chromebook might be a great alternative. It depends a lot on web apps. So these are apps that are stored on a server somewhere else that this machine will go and access. And a lot of us are doing that already. If you're using Gmail, if you're using the Google apps, if you're using WeVideo, any of those kind of, anything that's based off the web, that's exactly the kind of stuff that you can do with a Chromebook. In fact, quite a lot of the apps are available either for the Chrome OS, which is based on the Chrome browser, or else it's just going to point you to the web app and you can interface with that. One of the nice things about a lot of these apps is that they recognize that Google Drive is your resource for storing stuff. So even though I may do some edits and et cetera on WeVideo, which is another service, the actual files will get stored on my Google Drive. So I always have access to them. Because I'm using apps that are not stored on the machine here, I don't need as much RAM. In fact, the machine that I have here only uses 2 gigs of RAM. I'm not running a lot of local storage apps, and we'll talk a bit about that a little later. So you don't need as much RAM. And the data that I have, I can store some on the drive of the Chromebook. There is a 16 gigs of data space there. But some of that's taken up by the operating system. And you know, if you need more than 16 gigs, you then turn to Google Cloud, which of course, if anyone's been using any of those Google Cloud at all, the advantages of Google Cloud is, of course, it's backing up everything and you can access that on all your other devices. And we'll talk a bit more about that in a couple minutes. So what can you do with the Chromebook? You can surf the web just like you normally would. You can check your email. You can stream movies and you can stream music. So if you do a lot of stuff with Netflix, you can do that on the Chromebook as well. If you store your music in the cloud with using Google Music or Spotify or anything like that, you can access those things as well. You can edit photos and video and music as well with the Chromebook. I use it as a backup for my camera photos. So when I take pictures with my camera, not my iPhone, but an actual camera, I take the SD card and I back it up to the drive of my Chromebook. And then after that, I back it up to Google Drive, which then gets added to my Google Photos. So all my photos get put together regardless of where it's been taken. So my iPhone photos, my iPad photos, and my camera photos all live together in the same place. I also use an HDMI. So for those of you that aren't familiar with HDMI, is the high definition cable that runs usually from your set box or cable box or laptop into your large screen TV. So what I will do with this Chromebook is when I go to a hotel or something like that, I will plug from my Chromebook into the 42-inch or 50-inch HD television and see everything I'm looking at there. And I can still stream my Netflix and do all my music and stuff, but all that video and audio goes into the big HD TV. So it's really great that I don't really always need to have that nice polished screen. I can have an advantage of taking that and uploading that image to a different device. Syncing with your Google account's a great advantage because all the preferences, the extensions, the apps that you load up are going to be available in every device that you log into. So for example, the account that, or this device I'm using now has my work account. All my preferences, when I log into a different computer, whether it's at home, whether it's the iMac we have in our area, or if someone just says to me, hey Trevor, can you give a presentation? I log in. Within a minute or two, all my preferences, my extensions, all the links to the documents that I have, all are synced between all those accounts. As I mentioned before, you can back up your photos. Those photos will automatically get added to Google Photos, which then become available on all your devices. I'm an iTunes user, but I can take my music and upload it to Google's Music Cloud service for free. So I can load up to 50,000 songs to Google Music, and that becomes available as streaming anywhere I want. So I'm actually not paying for anything. I'm just streaming through Google, even though all my music that I buy and manage is through my iTunes account. Google Books is great because if you read any kind of books, you can read it on your Chromebook, and then when you leave, you just pick up your iDevice or your tablet or whatever, and you can continue reading right from where you left off. Google Books will actually sync your reading progress between all your devices. You can also do Hangouts with a Chromebook. The Chromebook is a nice little device if you just want to be able to do video conferencing or even make phone calls from your Chromebook to someone's landline or cell phone. You can do all that with Hangouts. And that's all available as part of the, or is all available with the Chromebook as well. So what are some of the advantages? Well, you can do more with a Chromebook than you can with a tablet, especially with a look at an iPad or an Android device. Those iPads, you only can do certain things that the apps are written for them. And when you go and browse a website, you don't get the full effect and the full interface of the website. With a tablet, you can easily do that. Or sorry, with a Chromebook, you can easily do all that. A Chromebook is shareable. This is one of the pet peeves that people have had for iPads for years, is I log in with my account, I'm the only one that can make use of that. With a Chromebook, I can have a number of users create accounts and log in, just like a regular computer. So my information stays separate from my wife's information, stays separate from my kids' information. There's even a guest login ability. So if someone wants to just borrow it really quickly, I can hand it to them, they log in, do whatever they need to do, they log out, and all their information is automatically wiped. The Chromebook also has a keyboard, and you can attach peripherals. So I can attach things like a USB hard drive, USB headset, extra keyboards, mouse, all those things. I can't do that with my as easily with my iPad. If I have Bluetooth, I can do some of those devices, but not everything, like a hard drive. I can't attach a separate hard drive to my iPad. Easy maintenance. Because the OS is based on Chrome browser, Google looks after all that maintenance. So where you're familiar with having to sit there and click on, I'm going to update my OS and update my Windows machine and stuff like that, Google looks after all that. You actually don't have to click on anything. Google will make sure that that stuff gets all updated. Because it's a web browser, you're less likely to get viruses. and some of those corrupt files and preference files and stuff. You don't see that because you're using a browser to do all your work in it. It's also less expensive, just right up front, as I mentioned before. I can spend $250 on a Chromebook to do all this stuff, or I can spend $350 on an iPad. There's advantages and disadvantages to both. It just depends on what you want to use it for. So what are some of the disadvantages of a Chromebook? Well, you can't run Windows or Mac apps on it. Okay, remember this is a web browser. So there are apps out there for sure. I mean, I always hear people say, oh, I need to have access to Photoshop. Well, there's a great web app out there called Pixlr that does just as much of what most people need for Photoshop. It can do as well. And sometimes you just want something really quick and dirty where you just want to go and, you know, add a different color to the screen and your images and stuff, maybe do some cropping. There are apps that are out there as well. And a lot of these are free because they're just web-based. One of the other disadvantages is you need internet for some activities. Now, when I say that, because this is one thing everyone always says, you have to have internet to use this. Not really. You can download some apps that stay in storage on the Chromebook. So my Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, those are all Google's Office products. I can have those available on the hard drive, and I can actually create and edit documents without having to have an internet connection. There are some other apps out there that also can be downloaded and used on your machine. But for the most part, a lot of the apps that you, outside of Google, are going to be a web page. So you need internet for that. Printing can also be challenging. Trying to get a printer set up, you either have to have a new printer that recognizes Google's cloud printing services, or else have a computer attached to a printer. So for example, at home, I have a Mac Mini and I have a printer that are all the same network. I've set it up so that my print commands go to my Mac Mini, which then accesses my printer and then prints the stuff there. So it can be done, but sometimes it's a little bit of a challenge to go with that. And that's it for the slides. So those are some of the advantages and stuff. I'm just going to show you briefly what it looks like to work in the world of the of an iOS. So I have here is my laptop. I've signed in with my dog Jazz's account. And as soon as I log into this, what ends up happening is all the stuff that Jazz has available to her is going to show up. Now, here's where things are a little bit different. There is no desktop. There is no place for files to sit on the desktop because they all get stored in your Google Drive. Off to the left is a search function. And the search function will search whatever apps you have installed, or it also can do a search for a web page or something. So you can use this for a number of different things. So for example, if I'm looking for Google Docs, I can type in Google Docs. And as I start to type in, it says, hey, here are the Google products that you have stored on here. Here's what's available in the Chrome Web Store if I wanted to check out something there. Or else I can just keep on typing, and then we'll just do a search within my web browser. The other thing that's really kind of handy about this, if you'll notice, there's a little icon here that looks like a microphone. That basically means to search. I can click on this, and I can ask questions of Google. Okay, Google. Oh, it's tracking me now. Let me just stop this. I'll track this. What's the weather like in Hawaii? Now, depending on what the answers are, sometimes Google will actually read it out to me. But it's very easy. I often will leave a window open, and I can start talking to Google, and it'll do whatever I ask for it. Now, if you take a look in the bottom here, this is our main control panel. And you can see we've got a number of different controls here. I can sign out. I can turn on it shows me my Wi-Fi. There's some accessibility commands available. Turn on my Bluetooth. And also can look at my settings here. So the settings is kind of cool. It looks exactly like the settings that you would find in Google Chrome. All the different things are in there. I can enable the OK Google, which I hadn't before. And now anytime I have a search window up and I just have to say OK Google, it'll do the action for me. So I'll click on this. OK Google, what's the weather going to be like today in Edmonton? OK Google, what's 13? Whoops, I have to do the all, of course. Okay, Google, what's 13 times 15? Okay, Google, what's 13 times 15? So you can actually just leave that open and do all the commands that you want. As you can see, there's really not a lot of difference between using the Chrome OS than using the Google Chrome itself. The advantage, of course, excuse me, is the syncing capability, the fact that you now have a hard drive that you can make use of, and it costs you a lot less than what you would do in an iPad or possibly an Android tablet. So if anyone has any questions, by all means, please feel free to put them in the question document that we had off to the side there, and I will address them as much as I can. I find one of the things that's really cool for me is the ability to take this and use this to back up my photos. So when I go out and take pictures with a camera, I take my SD card, I put it into the slot of the Google, of the Chromebook. Those photos automatically will get downloaded, or sorry, uploaded to Google Drive. Google Drive has a folder there called Chrome OS Uploads. And it just takes my photos and will throw them into this folder. So I can quickly take all my pictures, not only download them to my Chromebook, so I have a local copy, but also put them onto Google Drive. And there I've got a backup that's available to anything. With those pictures stored in Drive, Google Plus says, hey, I see you've got some photos there. Would you like me to add those to your list of other photos? And once I say yes and that's done, those photos are now available on any device, anywhere. So even though I took the pictures with the camera, I can pull out my iPhone within minutes, click on Google Photos and say, hey, here are the pictures that I just uploaded from my camera, and they bring them over there. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Chromebooks are great to play with. A bunch of new ones have just been announced this week. So if you are interested, what I would suggest is you go to Best Buy or whoever's selling them and just say, hey, you know what, these new ones are coming out. What kind of a price or deal can you cut me on the old ones? The old ones have a little less memory. They may not be as big a screen. They may not, I mean, you can't open up 50 tabs and 50 windows and stuff like that. You're good if you stick with like 5 tabs per browser window or stuff. But you can get a lot done within those 5 tabs. The newer ones are going to have more RAM, but I know they start at $350 American. So by the time we get up to Canada here, it's going to be around $400. So $250 versus $400. It's a small, the one I have here is a 11-inch. It's a small, it's compact, it's easy to take around. And you know, let's be realistic. When someone drops an $800 iPad, or sorry, $800 MacBook Air, or a $400 iPad, or a $250 Chromebook, I'm not going to cry as much when that Chromebook gets broken. I mean, quite frankly, at $250, it's almost disposable. So a lot easier for me to take in that case. They are fairly sturdy. I mean, I carry this around all the time, and it's a hard plastic, so it's not what you're used to with as far as the some of the other higher end stuff. But if you take care of it, you don't abuse it, it actually will do a lot for you. I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to sign off here. Thanks for joining me. Again, if you have any other questions, you can email me at beck@mcewen.ca. You can also find my Ustream, my YouTube channel. I've got a whole bunch of different videos there, so by all means, check me out there. Other than that, thanks for joining me, and we will see you again soon.